Usafi ilikuwa nini? Usafi wa jiji jukumu langu. I saw two gentlemen who didn't stand up there. Ian Maina and Idris Mwilu. On your first day at work, Waziri, start them on disciplinary. Either that or you don't get your letters. Tumeelewana? Hii kazi sio mchezo. It is real work. You must be disciplined. And don't think because you're many that you will hide behind the crowd. Wakati umepatiwa section yako ya kufanya, wakati umepatiwa area yako ya kufanya, do your work. You've been hired as an individual. We will not take lack of discipline. So those two, Waziri, you will tell me the action you've taken. And if they don't convince you why they didn't stand up, hata fadhali hiyo kazi wasianze. We will get a replacement. If they want, you don't have discipline, so utatupatia kichwa ngumu next week. And in a few months. So we will not allow that. Remember, as you're starting, you have a probation period. We will reward hard work. Asante Waziri. We will reward hard work. But usidharau ile kazi umepata. Kuna vijana wengi sana hawana kazi Nairobi. Si ni kweli? Si mtaani mmeacha watu wengi sana mtaani. Sasa udharau ile yenye umepatiwa. More than 65,000 applied for these jobs. And it is 65,000 because of the academic cutoff that we put. Kama tungeka hiyo academic cutoff, it would have been 200,000 or more. So please don't take your work lightly. God has given you that chance. Na ningependa kuambia, don't despise humble beginnings. Mimi nilianza kazi yangu ya siasa kama dereva. That is how I started. Leo mimi ni governor. You're starting as an environmental officer. You're starting as support staff. Tomorrow you might be anyone. Unaweza kuwa governor, unaweza kuwa senator, unaweza kuwa waziri. Go increase your education, we will support you. But usidharau kazi ambayo Mungu amekupatia nafasi ya kupata. Juu kama sio wewe, kuna wengi wengine ambao wangetaka kazi hiyo. Waziri, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to the leaders from across Nairobi County and to all of those who are watching this event live. I want to start in 2015 in South Sea. Many of you remember that night on May 12th of 2015, a Makini school bus filled with pupils on their way home was half sunk near the South Sea Mosque. The children were really traumatized. Eventually they were rescued early the next morning. As you can imagine, they were cold, they were hungry, and they were scared. The images from that incident traveled widely on mainstream and social media, a stark reminder of the danger of flooding and of the importance of getting our infrastructure, our drainage, and our disaster management right, not just because of the coming Elnino season, but throughout the rest of the year. The lives of the people of Nairobi depend on it, and we have the mandate and the responsibility to make sure it works. Today I want to set out the measures my administration is taking to prepare for Elnino and to protect lives and property in Nairobi so that we can avert a repeat of that incident that happened those years ago. Before we solve a problem, we must understand it. To understand it, we must name its causes clearly and briefly. Our drainage problems have 5 main causes. Firstly, Nairobi has grown and keeps growing quickly. That means we haven't had time to plan buildings as well as we should have. So we find not just that the buildings, but that even in places where flooding is not expected, we've had collapse of buildings because they're not up to standard. Earlier on, a few months ago, together with Waziri Zak, when we had buildings collapsing in Kiambu County as well as Kasarani, we went together And we had a meeting with the building inspectorate and the departments under the Ministry of Lands. And we instructed the building inspectorate to conduct a survey of unsafe buildings in Nairobi. We have received the report, and one of the actions we'll take in some of those buildings that cannot be brought back to standard, the ones that are irreparably, structurally in default, we will have to move people during this season. And we're asking those in the built industry, contractors, developers, please don't take shortcuts. Usijaribu ati unanunua simiti fake ama utumile chuma inafaa to save 200,000 shillings or $1 million, and your entire project of 50 million goes down. Let us remember lives. Those whose professional negligence will lead to buildings collapse must be charged with murder, because that is murder. In 2016, I remember spending an entire night in Huruma, ambapo tulitoa miili ya watoto wadogo sana ambao walikufa wakati nyumba ilianguka, na nyumba ilikuwa imejengwa hapo kwa mto. We will not allow that to go on. Secondly, there is quite a lot of inadequate and ill-maintained drainage. Our building of drainage has not come close to meeting the growing needs of Nairobians, and even when we've built it, we must admit that there has been failure to maintain them to the standards required. And that is why there are blocked drainages in parts of the city, diverted ones in other parts of the county, and in yet other places, the infrastructure from culverts to signs have been removed together. There are people who've built, they have put structures on drainage, and I will spell out the action that you're going to take against that. Thirdly, there is clear encroachment on river reserves. Anyone who has been around this city for the last few years has seen the state of our riparian land. These reserves and wetlands are essential for our drainage and waste control. Building on them does not just threaten those who have property there. It means the rest of us must face the real risk of floods, because a few of us are too selfish to pay attention to basic neighborliness. Fourthly, the weakness of planning and enforcement. And in the past few years, the county government has not done a great job in zoning for direct development. We haven't done a good job of imposing consequences on those who break the rules. And in reality, we haven't made full use of the expertise in urban planning that is available to us. That also must change, and that stops today. Fifth and finally, unpredictability. Given climate change, we can expect more severe weather events, and we can expect them to be worse when they hit. We need to get ready, we need to prepare now, we need to prepare together. Ladies and gentlemen, those are some of the causes of our flooding problems. Let me now set out our answers to the problems and to the challenges. We have put together a set of policies which we have called the Marshall Plan for Nairobi's Elnino. Since the time for firmness and enforcement has come, I want to set out the main steps clearly so that no one can say they did not know what has been set out. The first and most important measure is, of course, simply the timely unclogging of our drainage. Clearing our drains, I hardly need to emphasize this, means that water can flow quickly and clearly. That lowers our risk of flooding. The 3,500 young men and women, na leo hapa we have the 2,500, the 1,000 are coming in a few days. Environmental officers, this is the work that we begin immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, the last time Nairobi recruited environmental staff was in the 1980s. Since the 80s, where many of you were not born, there has not been another recruitment of environmental staff, of laborers, of support staff. Jipigeni makofi. So this shows us that indeed the task is urgent. There is a great backlog that must be cleared in time for the rains. Many may ask why we've taken long is because of the process. We first had to make sure we have the budget. The budget was passed, and I want to thank the County Assembly, led here by Mheshimiwa Kiragu, for passing the budget. We will not do what was done before, where you're given work, you work, and you're not paid. You will be paid for the work that you do, and you will be paid on time. It means in our estates, in the sub-counties and the wards, there's a huge backlog of trash. Drainages are clogged. Niko na imani ya kwamba with concerted effort tutazifungua. Si tutazifungua? Tunaweza hiyo kazi? Tutafungua hizo mitaro zote siku zote. Na kama unajua kazi ya mkono, you see even mimi nimevaa hivi na I've rolled up my sleeves. Nitakuwa na nyinyi ndani ya hizo mitaro. I'll be there with you. I'll be there with you as we sweep. I'll be there with you as we do what this city needs. If you know you cannot do that physical work, leo tu ambia supervisor wako, wacha ningoje hizi kazi zingine zinakuja, patia mtu mwingine nafasi. Because you have to get down and dirty. Mtaingia kwa mashimo. Tutaingia kwa mitaro. Unajua kiongozi hapa alisema usifanye kwa wodi yako, kwa sababu kuna wengine kama Papa Shirandula unatoka na suti asubuhi, hautaki watu wajue unafanya kazi ya, unakuja unavaa gwanda, unapiga kazi jioni unavaa suti. Unasema unafanya kazi kwa ofisi ya governor. Mtafika hapo. Mtafika, si ndio? But for now, let us get down and dirty starting today. Tufanye hiyo kazi, tusafishe mji wetu. When I was growing up in the city of Nairobi, mimi ni msewa hii mtaa hapa Tungara. Tukahama Islands, tukahama Imara. Nairobi ilikuwa safi. Those people who used to clean those days are still the ones there today. In their 50s and some are even in their 60s. So it's okay. Unapata kama Embakasi East mzima, you have only 3 or 4 officers. Now there'll be a marked change and marked improvement. All the sub-county teams are here. Nataka sub-county admins msimame. Sub-county admins, kuna wale walikuwa hawako mapema wamekuja. Aaron, yes, Calvins. You are the representation of government. All sectors in the sub-counties must report to sub-county admins for coordination, for administrative coordination. Na washukuru mmefanya kazi vizuri. Jana Aaron nimekupita mara 3. Nimeona ukizunguka. Au kuniona? Ndio nilikuwa kwa gari ndogo. Mujitolee. Map out and have accountability for all these people. Ward admins wako? Do we have the ward admins? Mnaona hawa? Mtawajua wakati mtapangwa. This is where you get instructions from. Sub-county environmental officers wako wapi? Nimeona Nyaga pahali wa town. Nimeona wapi Mieso? Where are the sub-county environmental officers? Ndio ni mkono.